Hey guys, welcome to Christmas in July at the Fat Quarter Shop. Today we're introducing Jelly Snowflake, which is a Christmas in July mystery quilt. Every Thursday in July of 2020, we're going to release a new part of this quilt. It's completely free. All you need to make this is 1 molded jelly roll, 2.5 yards background, 5/8 yard binding, and 3 3/8 yard backing. It's super easy, so grab your favorite jelly roll and let's get started. From your jelly roll, we're only going to use 14 strips. You can use the leftover strips either for scrappy binding or you can use it to do a piece backing. So you need 14 strips, and I'm going to kind of play with my strips and find the ones that I like the best. So I'm going to go with darker prints rather than lighter prints, so I can kind of skip all the light. This jelly roll is called Dear Christmas, and it has a lot of duplicates. So I will take the duplicates out, but I think I'll use this. So just play with your jelly roll, find the 14 that you like the best. So this is kind of my no stack, and this is my yes stack. I'm not going to use the yellows, so I'm going to skip these. So here are my favorite 14 prints, and let's get started. So this next part is totally optional, but I love to starch before I start making a quilt. I like to use Niagara Original Hold, and when you're working with a jelly roll, it's gonna shrink across the width of fabric, not the length. So it's still gonna be 2.5 inches across. And I'm going to put a link right here to a video that tells you how to starch all of your fabric. And if you look right here, this is starched and this is unstarched. And the only part that shrank was right here. And you won't need that much for your quilt. So you can starch your jelly roll if you prefer. You don't have to. And on my background fabrics, what we did is we cut all of this into 5 half-yard pieces, starched them individually following my video, and now we can get started. Our block 1 is called Flurry, and we're going to make 4 of these blocks. I decided on my quilt to use 4 reds. You don't have to use the same color, just pick 4 that you like. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my jelly roll strips. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lay them on top of each other where they're 100% aligned, both the width and the length. And these are already starched and dried. You could cut them all individually if you would like. I prefer to cut all 4 at the same time. So I've got them all stacked nice and even. I put a brand new Endurance blade in my rotary cutter, and what I'm going to do, this is totally optional, and some of you I know are going to hate this, so if you don't like it, don't do it. If you do like it, do it. How about that? So when I'm looking at this jelly roll, it's slightly bigger than 2.5. It's basically 2 5/8. I like my quilt to be exact, so I'm going to trim this down to 2.5. Now all jelly rolls will be slightly different, and you don't have to do this step, but I prefer to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is just trim this. And when I was playing with making this quilt, this is how I felt I got the best results. So now it's really 2.5. Now your jelly roll might already be 2.5. And I'm just going to get all these little out of the way. And then I'm going to proceed, and what I'm going to do is just cut according to my pattern. So I'm going to put my pattern right here. I'm going to use a design board, and I am going to use my alphabetties to label. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. So now I have my jelly rolls cut, and I'm going to move to my background. On my background fabric, what will work best with this is to cut 5 2.5 width of fabric strips first and then subcut. So when I'm cutting, I'm going to use this line on the very bottom to align with the fold and cut. And then I'm going to rotate without moving it too much. And I'm going to cut 5 strips. So now I have everything cut, and I love that I'm using a design board because I can take this to and from my sewing station. So let's get started assembling our block. In block 1, you're going to make 4 blocks, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to make 1 block. First, we're going to make a 4 patch using fabric C's and fabric G's. So I'm going to get a second design board and lay them out, 2 C's and 2 G's. And what I'm going to do is put them right sides together, and we're going to chain stitch these 2 together, just like this. When I'm stitching, I'm using color 2021, and I am using a 1.75 stitch length. To save time today, I'm going to be using the Quick Press Seam Roller by Lori Holt instead of going to the iron, and I'm just going to press. And press, and that looks just like it was ironed. I'm going to put this together. I'm going to nest the seams. Pin right in the intersection, and then I'm going to pin at the end, and we're going to finish this 4 patch. Now you're going to have your 4 patch, and we're going to be adding a fabric F to the left and a fabric E to the top. So the first thing we'll do is pin in place and sew this seam. add now we're adding the fabric E. And this is how your block looks. And then we're going to take fabric A that's matching and a fabric B that's matching. First, we're going to add the fabric B, and then we will come back and add the fabric A. So on this, I'm just going to pin at the end. We're going to just pin this one. I might pin this one twice. And now we're going to actually go to the ironing board and iron. So now I'm going to pull in another design board that's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to kind of lay out the next pieces. This is your round 2 unit. And from your other design board, you're going to take some pieces off. We're going to take a fabric D. It's going to go here. Another fabric D. It's going to go here. So that's going to be your next round, and then there's one more round after that. There's 2 Fs, a B, and an A. So from here, I think the easiest thing to do is sew a couple of seams and put them back on the design board and then press, and then we'll keep going. So I'm going to sew these 2 together. And these 2 together. Put it back on my design board. And I'm going to use my seam roller. Press those seams to save time. Sew these together. I'm going to pin this intersection where the seams nest and just pin at the very end. And then the next row has some that are together, so I'm going to go ahead and do those really quick. I'll lay everything back on the design board, and then we'll do the last 2 seams. Now we're adding our last 2 sections, and this time I'm going to pin a little bit more than before. And if you place it back on your design board before you sew it, you will see if you've got all your fabrics in the right spot. And now we're going to go iron. So now we're going to do a final press. I'm going to set my seam, press to one side, and then we're just going to do an overall press. And now I'm going to show you how you can trim up your block slightly. When I finish any quilt block, I like to trim the edges just to get all of my little excess threads off. This is totally optional and you don't have to do it. But I'm barely taking any off. I just want it to be nice and straight. And by doing that, when you put your quilt together in the final assembly, you will have less threads on the back of your quilt. So you can see all these threads right here. Now that we're taking that off, that won't show through to the front of the quilt. And your block should measure 12.5 inches square. So this is your Flurry block. You're gonna make it 4 times. So I'm gonna show you the other blocks that I made. They're all 12.5 inches, and I made all of mine red. These are gonna be the corner of your quilt. And so that's why I used red, since it's the strongest color. I would love for you to come back for block 2 next Thursday. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you then.